Hello, everyone. Have you ever seen a man lose everything, yet somehow feel that his silence is hiding something greater than defeat? One day, Jack sold his car, walked out into the rain, and let the whole town believe he was finished. People thought he had fallen into debt. People thought success had finally left him. People thought the man once admired by everyone had become nothing. But they were wrong, because what looked like a collapse was actually a choice. What looked like failure was the first step into a hidden war. And behind that war, there was one name, Ly Tu Tien. Tonight, I want to tell you the story of a secret meeting, a quiet test, and a pact made in darkness. A pact that asked Jack to give up his pride, his comfort, his image, all for the safety of the woman he loved. Rain struck the pavement outside the dealership, cold and hard. Jack stood beneath the gray sky after signing the final paper. The car was gone. Not long ago, it had carried him through meetings and contracts, through the bright world people associated with his name. It was more than a vehicle. It was proof of the life he had built. Now that proof had vanished. A few strangers looked at him from across the street. There was pity in some eyes, satisfaction in others. To them, he was just another man falling from success. Jack did not explain. He did not look back. But in his mind, he was no longer standing outside the dealership. He was back in a dim library. On the night Mr. Dung had called him there alone. Scene 2, the library sat in silence at the far end of town. Old wood, high shelves, a single lamp burning over a long table. When Jack entered, Mr. Dung was already waiting. He did not greet Jack warmly. He did not waste words. He simply said, "Sit down." Jack pulled out the chair and sat across from him. On the table was a folder. Thick, closed, heavy in a way paper should never feel. Mr. Dung opened it. Inside were photographs. A man standing too long near Tu Tien's path home. A motorbike that had appeared more than once near Mama Loy's gate. A stranger asking questions about Jack's company. Another asking when Tu Tien was alone. Jack's eyes sharpened at once. "Who are they?" Mr. Dung answered quietly. "People who are watching her." The room seemed to freeze. Jack leaned forward. "What do they want?" Mr. Dung looked straight at him. "They want access. They want weakness. And the easiest way to reach a man like you is through the woman he cannot bear to lose." Jack's hand tightened on the edge of the table. He had enemies, rivals, jealous people. That was not new. But the thought of those shadows moving closer to Tu Tien, without her knowing, without her being prepared, turned something cold inside him. Mr. Dung let the silence settle before speaking again. "You are too visible, too successful, too easy to follow. As long as you live inside that light, you will keep drawing danger toward her." Jack frowned, his voice lowered. "So what are you asking me to do?" Mr. Dung pushed a paper across the table. "If you want to protect Tu Tien, you must step out of that light. You must let the world think you are no longer worth watching." Jack stared at the paper. At first, it sounded absurd, then cruel, then something worse. Because slowly he understood. This was not just advice, it was a demand. Mr. Dung spoke without raising his voice. "Sell the car. Live simply. Disappear from your own image. Let people believe you are struggling. Let those in the dark lower their guard." Jack looked up sharply. "You want me to throw everything away?" Mr. Dung did not flinch. "I want to know what matters more to you. Your pride. Or her safety." The words landed hard. Jack had expected warnings. Perhaps a plan. Perhaps help. He had not expected a test. And yet he could feel the truth inside it. As long as he looked powerful, every enemy would stay careful. Every move against Tu Tien would remain hidden. Every threat would stay one step ahead. But if he looked weakened, if he seemed reduced, if the world believed he had lost his shine, then the people circling them would become careless. Mr. Dung folded his hands. A man is easy to admire when he is successful, but that tells me very little. I need to know who you are when love costs you something, when protecting her asks for sacrifice, when no one praises you, when people laugh at you, when even she may not know what you are carrying. Jack lowered his eyes to the paper again. This was not a contract in the ordinary sense. It was a crossing. If he signed, he would lose more than a car. He would lose the clean image he had spent years building. People would talk, people would guess, people would judge, and he would have to endure all of it in silence. For a long moment, neither man moved. Then Jack picked up the pen. His voice was steady. I do not need to look strong. As long as she stays safe. He signed. The sound of ink on paper was small, but it changed everything. Mr. Dung watched him carefully, then gave a short nod. From tonight, you are no longer protecting her from the front. You are protecting her from the shadows. Scene 4. After that night, Jack began to disappear from the version of himself the world knew. The car was sold. The polished image faded. He rode an old motorbike through town, sometimes in dust, sometimes in rain. Its engine was rough, its body worn. People noticed. Whispers spread quickly. Some said he had made bad investments. Some said his company was failing. Some said Tu Tien had entered his life just as his luck began to leave. Jack heard everything. He answered nothing, because every rumor that made him look smaller made the trap stronger. And while the town watched him with a mix of pity and mockery, Jack was working in silence. He changed routes often. He made sure trusted people stayed near places Tu Tien visited. He kept watch over Mama Loy without making it obvious. He noticed who appeared too often, who asked the wrong questions, who became braver now that they thought he was weakened. Piece by piece, the hidden danger began to show its face. Jack accepted the humiliation because he knew the truth. Pride could be rebuilt, a car could be replaced, money could return. But if Tu Tien was harmed even once, nothing would be enough. Tu Tien did not know everything. She only saw that Jack had changed. He came home more tired. His clothes carried the smell of wind and road dust. His hands seemed rougher. His smile was still gentle, but there was a weight behind it now. One evening, she sat beside him under the porch light. The night was still. The yard was quiet. Her voice was soft. Jack, did I become the reason your life grew harder? He turned to her. In her eyes, he saw the old wound. The fear that love might once again become a burden. That someone she cared for would pay a price for staying beside her. Jack felt his heart tighten. He wanted to tell her everything. About the meeting. About the men watching from corners. About the choice he had made. But if he gave her the truth too early, he would also give her fear. So he only took her hand. You are not the reason my life became smaller. You are the reason it became worth protecting. Tu Tien's eyes filled with tears. She lowered her head, and Jack held her hand a little tighter. Sometimes love is loud. Sometimes it is only this, a promise carried quietly. Day after day, without reward, without witness. Weeks later, the people in the shadows finally made mistakes. They moved too close, asked too much, showed themselves too clearly. And in that moment, Jack knew the pact had worked. He had stepped out of the light, and by doing so, he had drawn danger into the open. That night, he stood alone beneath the sky. The air was cold. The town had gone quiet. He no longer had the car people once admired. no longer had the bright image that had followed his name. But none of that mattered, because Tu Tien was safe, and in the silence, Jack made himself one promise. I can lose the car, I can lose the money, I can lose the comfort, but I will never lose her. People saw a man becoming nothing. What they did not see was that he had chosen that darkness himself, not because he was weak, but because he loved deeply enough to let the world misunderstand him, as long as the woman he loved could live in peace.